Hello everybody, I am your host, as always, Nicholas Tazio, and today I have a bit more of a different video for you than something that we are typically used to. So usually I do news or I react to a report and I tell you guys my overall thoughts on the situation. Well, today, what I'm going to do for you is in honor of the club football season officially beginning and starting, by the way. We have already had multiple games. I want to show you and tell you guys who I think will be the winners of Europe's top 5 football leagues. So, just for a refresher, if you don't know who are the top 5 leagues, they go England with the Premier League, Serie A in Italy, La Liga in Spain, the Bundesliga in Germany, and Liga in France. Now, there are plenty of other leagues all throughout Europe, but those are the leagues that are usually considered to be the best 5 in terms of quality and competitiveness. So, without further ado, let's get into it with the Premier League. Let's kickstart our journey in England, where I envision a major change coming this year. I think Manchester City's run of dominance is probably going to be over within the next few seasons. For one, there are uncertain questions regarding the future of Pep Guardiola and if he is staying in Manchester for the foreseeable future. I'm just not quite sure if he will. So you have one of the most respected football minds in history potentially leaving. That's number one. Number two, you have a lot of charges that are coming towards Man City that they are going to have to deal with very soon, and that could be one of the biggest scandals in footballing history overall. And then third, if you look at the analytics and the data, all the advanced numbers and this and that, it all suggests that City's production is declining. They are getting worse year after year, and the competition is catching up. Now, Arsenal, from their side of things, they haven't experienced a lot of Premier League success in recent years, but they went out and they signed one of the biggest standouts from the Euros this summer in Ricardo Calafiori to vastly improve their back line, who, if I may suggest, probably should be considered one of the best defensive back lines in Europe. They have one of the best number 10s in the world in Martin Odegaard, and they have a young, hungry head coach who is going to stop at nothing to get that Premier League title. Now, will Arsenal compete in Europe in the Champions League deep into the tournament? I am not sure, but I think with the signings of Calafiori and the intent that Arteta has in his mind, along with the playmaking abilities of a lot of the other Arsenal players, that should be enough to get them over the hump this year. And lastly, might I suggest, there was only a 1-point difference between Man City and Arsenal, as Man City won the league with 98 points last year and Arsenal had 97 points. So I think they closed the gap this year, and I think Arsenal are your Premier League winners. Let's travel down to Italy, where Serie A resides, and where Inter Milan are going to be repeat champions this year. Now, before Inter Milan won the title in 2021, Juventus were on a 9-season Scudetto winning streak. So for 9 straight years, Juventus were the absolute and utter class of the Italian Football League. Now, Inter Milan won the title in 2021. They got close, but they lost out on it in 2022. And then in 2023, they win the title again, and then they become finalists in the Champions League. Now, they lost to Man City, but still, it was a remarkable achievement for them to get there in the first place. Inter Milan also have a reputation for selling stars, and for once they didn't sell a big star this year. They still have a really good midfield comprised of Nicolo Barella, one of the best Italian players in the world, and Calhanoglu, who has become a really important player for the Inter Milan midfield. The back line is still very impressive, but the true talent of the team really resides up front with Lautaro Martinez, the Argentine striker who led Serie A in goals last year with 23. I just really think they keep their momentum going. I think on paper, Inter Milan absolutely have the best squad in Serie A. I think the only 2 teams that could really challenge this year are AC Milan, who have a good team as well, but I don't think they are as deep as Inter. And I think the other team is Juventus, just because they have a new coach in Thiago Motta, and Motta is bringing in this new philosophy with a bunch of young players, so that will be interesting to see as well in Turin. But for now, Inter Milan are going to keep building on their success. Lautaro Martinez is going to have another 20-plus goal season, and they are going to repeat as Serie A champions. Let's make our way down to Spain from the beautiful land of Italy, and let's talk about La Liga. Now, personally, I think this is going to be the easiest choice for me based out of all of these winners that I've predicted for Europe's top 5 leagues, and it's going to be Real Madrid. Top to bottom, Real Madrid are the best team in the league and probably in the world right now. They just went out and signed the best player in the world on a free transfer, so the type of wizardry that he is going to add is just going to be unmatched. When you put a Kylian Mbappe-like player, but instead of a Kylian Mbappe-like player, you put the real man himself up front on the best team in the world, you're going to get things that you never would have thought you've seen before. I'm predicting a 30-plus goal season from Kylian Mbappe. I'm predicting a double at the least and almost a treble from Real Madrid. I am expecting them to have a massive year. But if you look at the rest of the competition in the Liga, none of it suggests that it will come close to challenging Real Madrid. The only other team is their city rivals in Atletico Madrid, who just went out and spent nearly 100 million euros on Julian Alvarez, who is one of the best young strikers in the world. Barcelona, I think they're going to be okay. I just think they're really young, and I think they are in a state of flux. Their president of their team is just out of his mind with some of the decisions he's making. They're trotting out an aging Robert Lewandowski at striker, whereas Real Madrid are trotting out the best player in the world at striker, and then a 17-year-old, 18-year-old wonder kid from Brazil? I mean, come on. The disparities between the two is just unreal. And Real Madrid showed last year that they're the best team in the world as well by winning the Champions League. Vinny Jr. will probably win the Ballon d'Or for last season's performances, and if we're being really honest with ourselves here, who's to say that another Madrid player will not be in contention for the Ballon d'Or next year? Hell, it could be Mbappe, Rodrigo, or Vinny. It could be any of the front three, any of the forward line. I think they are going to be otherworldly this year. I think this is Galacticos Stage 3 after the Zidane era, and then after the Ronaldo era, this is the next era. This is Mbappe, Vinny, and Rodrigo, and these three young ballers are ready to take on the world and proclaim themselves as kings of Europe for the foreseeable future. And personally, I think they're going to do it. Let's make our way down to France and talk about Liga. Now, Liga is interesting because it is probably viewed as the worst of Europe's top 5 leagues. Liga also has the least amount of competition, top to bottom, but ironically they produce some of the best talent in the world. If you look at some of the best players in the world at some of the biggest clubs in the world, they most likely have come from a league academy or a team. Now, I think the winner of Liga this year is going to be the same as it is always predicted to be, which is PSG. I just don't think there is another team who could compete with them on a season-like basis. I think that they have a lot of star power. Although they lost the best player in the world, they still do have a lot of star power in Vitinha, in the midfield. You also have Warren Zaire-Emery, the generational 18-year-old midfielder who can do it all. You have Achraf Hakimi, the Moroccan right back, who can fly down the wing and play offensively as well. And you also have probably one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and I say probably because his name has fallen off since his glory days at Euro 2020 in Gianluigi Donnarumma. So you have a good team. You have a team that will probably win the French title. Do I think this team will compete in Europe? No, I do not. I do not think they can match up well against a top-flight English team. I think a Barcelona or either of the Madrid teams will take them out. I think Inter Milan or Juventus or even AC Milan will be threatening to them as well. I just think that it is going to be a up and down year for PSG. But above all else, I think they will win the league title. And I think that this year is the year that we say that Warren Zaire-Emery is officially one of the best players in the world. That is right. Not one of the best players at his age, not one of the best players at his position. He is going to be one of the best players in the world by the end of this season. He's going to be considered in that realm, along with all of the other players who are in that conversation as well. So that concludes the France talk. Ligue 1, PSG are going to win. And let's move down to Germany. We've seen England, we've seen Spain, we've seen France and Italy. Now, let's conclude our journey in Germany, the Deutschland. That is right, we are taking our talents to the fatherland to discuss the Bundesliga, where I think Bayern Munich will win the league. That is right, I don't think Leverkusen are going to win it. I don't think Dortmund is going to win it. I think Bayern Munich is going to win it. They're going to re-cement their status as the class of Germany and win the league again. They have signed two very key players in this offseason. Michael Olise, the winger from Crystal Palace, and Joao Palhinha, the midfielder from Fulham. Both players are probably going to start from day one at Bayern Munich, and both of them, in my opinion, are going to have very big impacts. I'm going to go ahead and predict a 12-goal-plus season for Michael Olise with 10-plus assists. So the all-around game of a winger, passing and shooting, is going to come into play with Olise, and he's going to have a very good season. Let's not forget about Bayern Munich. They still have a top 3 striker in the world in Harry Kane. Harry Kane scored 40-plus goals last year for Bayern Munich, and although they didn't win the title and a lot of people were joking saying the Tottenham curse has followed him, they still have Harry Kane, and I'm sorry, but that curse is going to end. So for all the Harry Kane haters out there, just know that your time of glory is going to end and his time of glory is going to start very soon, because he finally got himself to a team that is known for winning trophies. I think Leverkusen's success is a little unsustainable. I think Xabi Alonso, their coach, he's going to stay there for this year, but I think in another year or two, you'll have a Liverpool or a Real Madrid or a Chelsea. They'll come calling and he'll probably talk with them and he might even go. And I also think that in terms of depth, they are not as good as Bayern Munich. Don't get me wrong, they have 2 world-class players in Florian Wirtz and Jeremy Frimpong, but half of Bayern Munich's team could be considered world-class. Sané, Harry Kane, Manuel Neuer, they can all be considered world-class still, and that's just 3 players. So, not only do I think Bayern Munich will win the Bundesliga title, but I also think that they will challenge in Europe this year. And I'm predicting a semi-finals bar minimum finish from Bayern Munich this year. That concludes Europe's top 5 leagues and who I think the winners will be. Let's enjoy the season. I will have another video coming for you guys next week. And yeah, we'll see you guys later.